Essex, Ontario, celebrating on the Montreal bench as Pringle rumbles up the middle. There's a fumbled ball. It's still loose. Swiped at it. And Saskatchewan has it. So 2 series for Montreal and 2 fumbles as Conley falls on it for the Roughriders. His second fumble recovery in 2 games. .325 Eastern time here at Montreal as the Leafs continue to turn on a beautiful October day. And look at the third quarter stats, Glenn. Turnovers, beginning to be a question for Montreal. 4 possessions and 3 fumbles here in the third quarter.
Yeah, they're playing with their backup, their third-string quarterback right now, and he's having some troubles. Pringle also got hit and dropped one, but the real telling stat is the 6 turnovers for Saskatchewan, because you start turning the ball over 3 times in a game, you're pretty much guaranteed an L in the column at the end of the day.
All 4 of Montreal's turnovers have been fumbles as some of the big men, Filion and Charbonneau, take a break on defense. Hitch pass, Reggie Jones, the rookie, and he's elusive as he scampers to a first down.
You know, Montreal will play a lot of backups on defense as well. We saw a couple of starters sitting on the bench, and their defense is on the field right now. So it's a chance to rest some of the guys, especially some of the guys that were nicked coming in.
A 13-yard pickup for Jones, who had 10 catches last week for 132 and a touchdown. And they want to get him loose on a crossing pattern. I think that's a key play, much the same as Toronto does with Daryl Mitchell. Rayborn, handoff up the middle to Saunders, gets outside, first down territory, puts his head down and drills Henry, and then he takes a late hit from behind. Sylvester Miller in on the play and some shoving out of bounds. This 12-yard gain.
This is what you get, Mark, from Michael Saunders every game. You know, it doesn't matter what the score is, and they've been on the wrong end of some scores this year. Mike Saunders gives you this effort all the time. And when I talk about some of the highlights and some of the things that they can really hang their hat on, he's been their MVP this year. And he's one guy that they can do that with. That's a late hit by Miller out of bounds. Miller's in there replacing Swift Birch, who may be back in the lineup next week.
And there's the late hit from Miller, and he was charged on the play, and so they'll move the yardsticks all the way to the Montreal 19-yard line. First down, Rayborn back to pass, hands off to Saunders, quick cut upfield, and another big gain close to the first down.
They got to get him in and out, but you know, when you have John Rayborn calling the signals, it's a guy who doesn't get many of the reps in practice, so a lot of those plays have to come in from the sideline. That takes more and more time off the clock.
The measurement on the play, Stefan Reed finally bringing Saunders down, and you're right, he's showing a lot of courage and leadership here in the late going of this blowout.
Yeah, he has all year. I mean, even when they've been blown out throughout the season, he's been the guy that, you know, is trying to lead by example, because the coaching staff looks at games like this very carefully. These are not films that they just throw in the garbage. They want to know who's still going hard, like that guy. You know, you want to know, if you're going hard like the kids are going hard here, then you have a chance to stay in the lineup.
Wearing Peter Delariva's old number. The tight ends here in Montreal. Second and short gain, and it will be a first down conversion for Saskatchewan as they threaten for the first time since early in the first half. Reggie Slack could be back next week.
Yeah, you know, and he can smile. I mean, he smiles over there. I mean, you know, inside it kills him that they're losing, and they're losing as badly as they are, but there's nothing he could have done about it today. Not with what he's wearing.
Yeah, right. There are the slim numbers of John Rayborn. 2 completions so far, 1 interception. And once again, Saskatchewan shows an extra lineman, much like a tight end situation. Daniels up in a tight end position, but the pass, show run, throw the ball, it's behind and nearly intercepted. Intended receiver was Curtis Mayfield, but Mark Washington had a beat on that.
Well, if Mayfield doesn't become the defensive back, Mark Washington runs 105 yards.
And procedure is the call against Saskatchewan. Yes, that ball was behind, and
it was behind Curtis Mayfield. Washington had a great play on it, and Mayfield threw him on the ground, or else They're playing the fight song here in the stadium one more time.
Procedure, Saskatchewan, no end. Repeat first down.
No end, even though they had an extra man on the line, so perhaps he wasn't up far enough.
Yeah, here's the play. You see Washington is way underneath there, and he's going a long way. He's going to need oxygen after that one.
He's thinking, I'm going to beat Baron Miles' record for the year of 101 yards on the pick return.
Well, he would have, but not for the play of Mayfield.
So the penalty pushes the ball back across the 10-yard line. It's the first down over for Saskatchewan. Rayborn back to pass. Pressure. Throws it with a man hanging onto his ankles, and one hops it again. That could have been picked off if it was a few yards further.
Well, it's just, it's just you don't see the development. You don't see the evolution of the offense in Saskatchewan. They're running the same things on the same wristband that weren't working in the first half. And Montreal is playing a lot of their backups now, and they're still doing a pretty good job on it.
So it's second down. The ball just outside the 10-yard line. This is the longest drive of the game for Saskatchewan. 7 plays and counting. Rolling right is Rayborn. Has some time. Throws off his back foot into the end zone, and it's knocked down. Double coverage. Usman Tunkara was the intended receiver. There were 2 Montreal DBs in the vicinity.
John Rayborn had Don Narcisse open on the sideline, but he didn't see him, and Don Narcisse does not have a catch yet in this football game. So not only are the Riders going to lose, but Don Narcisse may lose a streak.
211 consecutive games, the pro football record, and indeed you're right, Glenn, he was wide open, settling on the sideline.
He was sitting there right in the corner of the end zone, just waving away. I'm open, hey, hey, hey. Rayborn doesn't see him.
Third down. Saskatchewan just outside the 10. They could get a first by getting to the goal line. Rayborn back to pass, will throw. It's tipped and intercepted. Mark Washington has it and will run it out of touch. Tunkara looked like he was open in behind, but the ball wasn't high enough. And so another turnover as the Saskatchewan quarterbacks have more trouble. While everything's going right, if you're a Montreal fan, a gorgeous day for football and a huge lead here on Thanksgiving Day Monday, 42-7. There's the Saskatchewan GM Al Ford, who said he'd leave his job if his team didn't make the playoffs. And now there's talk gaining momentum that Ron Lancaster, the head coach in Hamilton, is being considered to take over in Saskatchewan next year.
Rumors have been flying around about Ron Lancaster and Ron Lancaster Jr. possibly doing that. Ron Lancaster, of course, at the end of his contract at the end of this season, and then he won't talk about it definitely until the year is over. But Alan Ford has done a lot of great things for the Saskatchewan Roughriders organization over the last 10 years, and of course was a player and has really grown up throughout the organization. But I think it's inevitable of what's going to happen in his position at the end of the season.
Also talk that George Reed, the great running back, might come back into the fold in some capacity in Saskatchewan. Of course, Lancaster coaching there 2 seasons, 2 and 14. This would bring him full circle if he did that. Here's Jones back to pass. A wobbly pass for Haskins is too high and out of bounds on the 2nd and 8 situation, so Montreal will be forced to punt.
Mark, there's no other way to describe that pass. That was just flat out ugly. that was just flat out ugly. Now, he doesn't get a lot of reps in practice, but he's going to take some ribbing about that one. That was one of those. I know it's Thanksgiving, but that was a turkey that was flying through the air.
So Jones goes back to consult with the quarterbacking brain trust in Montreal, Terry Baker, a 48.3-yard average. Tremendous day for him. His 4th punt of the game. High spiral. Bounces in front of Reggie Jones and Curtis Mayfield. There's flags on the play. The call will be no yards as the ball is returned by Sheldon Benoit to the end zone. Flags are down.
Well, Sheldon Benoit knows the rule, so he's got to know that. He's got to think that ball was touched by Mayfield, because he knows the rules. You can't touch the ball if the returner hasn't touched it.
No yard. Montreal number 51, first down.
So there's Benoit, who thought he might have had one, but it didn't touch either of Mayfield or Jones as Larry Smith enjoys the beating today. Welcome back to Percival Molson Stadium in Montreal, where the home team, the Alouettes, have a 42-7 lead. And the fans are enjoying it. This man with great balance. An old-time Alouette fan enjoying this one. And the Alouettes go to their third quarterback, or rather the Saskatchewan Roughriders go to their third quarterback, Mike Colley. Back to pass. And complete to Reggie Jones on his first throw of the game. And if I'm Cal Murphy, I'm thinking, give him this play at least. Throw the ball to Don Narcisse.
Well, you got, you want to keep that streak alive. At the very least, you maybe get that as a positive out of this one. At least with Mike Colley in the game, you got a little bit of CFL experience, spent some time in Hamilton. He was in Europe this past year. He had a wrist injury in Europe and couldn't finish the season, but he's got some CFL experience, fairly strong arm, a tough quarterback too.
Yeah, broke his jaw in Hamilton, hard-nosed.
Against Saskatchewan.
That's right.
Bobby Jurison hit him.
Play action, fake now. Colley rolling right. Completes it to Don Narcisse. A little dump pass, and so the streak is alive. 212 games with at least one catch, and look at the big smile on Don Narcisse.
You can't believe it. It's kind of a cheesy one over on the sideline, and Colley was spent the whole game on the sideline, and every time Don Narcisse went over there, he probably just mentioned, if you get a shot at it, just remember, I still need my catch. And it's the sixth time throughout that great streak that Don Narcisse waited till the fourth quarter.
The streak continues. Colley pursued and sacked. No chance there as Stephen Reed and Alfred Payton put the meat hook into him.
Stephon Reed is another guy who really in the last 2 years has picked up his game, and he's really become a big play linebacker for him.
Big time pressure as Fairbrother had no chance to help.
Payton, right after the game there, Mark, is going to go to the stats guy and see if he can maybe get one out of that. He's in a race with Mumford.
Take every sack he can get. Screen pass to Saunders. He's got some blockers and some big time yardage now to the 25-yard line, but there's a flag on the play. First down territory on that second and long situation. A 21-yard gain for Mike Saunders.
He's limping off the field. He's trying to get off. What would this team have been this year without Mike Saunders?
No kidding.
Wow. He has been their offense.
56 yards rushing so far in the day.
Holding, Saskatchewan number 60. Repeat, second down.
So Gene Mikowski called for holding, and that will nullify that 21-yard gain by Mike Saunders.
In fairness to Saskatchewan, too, this is something that I think needs to be brought up, is that they designed their offense in training camp around Reggie Slack. Reggie Slack is a running quarterback, an option quarterback, almost like the college days. So Cal Murphy designed his whole offense around that and then lost Reggie Slack. And the other guys he has aren't runners. They're drop back guys.
So it's second and a quarter of a mile, about 27 yards on the play. Colley looks to make a fake, then just threw the ball right into the hands of Irv Smith. Intercepted again. The Alouette secondary preying now on these young Saskatchewan quarterbacks. Smith still going, finally brought down by Reggie Jones. And you look of horror on the face of Richie Howell and Sam Garza in the Saskatchewan. Irv Smith making like a punt returner on that interception. His first on the day.
Well, you mentioned it was a quarter mile, and I guess this is probably the only play you have. Throw it to the other team, kind of like a punt.
And Reggie Jones, who made the first hit, then went out of bounds, came back, and then some dissension on the bench after that play. It looks like Robbie DeRossier and Mike Colley having some words after that Colley interception. Corby Jones hands off to Mike Soles, who finally gets to carry the rock for Montreal.
Yeah, there's some frustration, obviously, on the Saskatchewan bench. Obviously, Mike Colley thought that the play called wasn't the play that was run and was upset about it. And now Montreal just try and grind it out and finish this game and kind of put Saskatchewan out of their misery.
It's only Mike Soles' 5th carry of the season. Irv Smith soaks in the sunshine, and
they're having fun.
A nice day here in Montreal. Jones will pass out of the shotgun now. Another wobbly one over the head of Bolduc, who's in now at receiver for Montreal.
Well, I never played quarterback in the CFL, but it looks to me like Corby Jones is really taking a big step with his lead leg. And when you take that wide step, the ball tends to sail high on you, and a couple have got away on him, and you got to go back to the fundamentals.
We had a word there with Bolduc on the way off, trying to clear up any miscommunication on the play. And so Terry Baker will stand at his own 25 to punt for Montreal. 6:12 and ticking to go in the ball game. 42-7 Montreal leading. Baker gets a big one away. Curtis Mayfield has it go through his arms and into the end zone. And this one will bounce out of touch for a single. So another miscue for Saskatchewan, another point for Montreal.
Stop into Canadian Tire for everything you need to get your car back on track. Canadian Tire, still the right place to do it.
Terry Baker launched that one 90 yards, the longest of the season for him, as it went right through the arms and did not touch Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah, no, he wants to get in the stat parade. So yeah, you know, Irv Smith and those guys in the secondary in Montreal having a great time picking off passes and running around getting sacks. And he said, well, now I can work on my punting average. Keeps his head down and launches one there.
That's going to balloon the average for the 37-year-old veteran. Canada, Ontario. Back at quarterback, it is Mike Colley. Will throw the hitch pass to Reggie Jones. He's got it. Breaks a tackle on Sanchez. Then faces about 5 more and is driven back and pays the price.
You know, this Montreal defense has been a little underrated this year, I truly believe. A lot of people talk at the beginning of the season, they talked about the Hamilton defense, how good it would be. And then they talked about the Toronto defense all year and how good it is. But this Montreal defense, you can see some gang tackling there. This Montreal defense is pretty darn good. And you know what? I think the strength is their secondary. Even when you got guys like Peyton and Sean Giddings in your linebacking core, their strength may be their secondary.
Second down and about 9. Ollie completes it. Nikiasen, the rookie out of Idaho State, with the catch. That's his first catch ever as a Saskatchewan Roughrider. His first in the CFL, and it'll go for 15 yards and a first down.
They talk about the strength of their team in Montreal. Well, Steve Sarkisian knows what it is after today. It's their secondary.
6 interceptions.
He threw 3, Rayborn a couple, and then Mike Colley the last one. And you know, this is a secondary in Montreal that is young. You know, they've got 2 first-year players. Baron Miles is in his 2nd year. Lester Smith and Irv Smith, really the only 2 guys with veteran experience, and yet they're still playing great football and have all year.
Sarkisian now leading the league with 20 interceptions on the season as Nikiasen takes the handoff. He came into the game with just 3 carries for -1 yard, so improving on both counts today with a 5-yard gain and a 2nd and 5 situation at midfield for Saskatchewan.
You're just looking at Lester Smith, and boy, are they happy they got him from Toronto at the beginning of the year. He runs the show back there, makes the checks. He's the experience, solid factor in the secondary.
Coached by Charlie Taft in college. Hot route pass in behind Curtis Mayfield as he looks around for the ball and takes his lumps.
I think Mayfield just wanted to deliver a blow there and get some frustration out, because he really didn't even look back for the ball. He just looked to run over Baron Miles.
And so it's a 3rd down punt for Paul McCallum. 3rd and 5 as the frustrated Mayfield goes off the field. And
you know, there's another guy though that this offense can build around. If Curtis Mayfield can stay around a couple more years, he still is a deep threat and a big play player for them. You know, Mike Saunders is another one. Their offensive line is starting to become better than they were at the beginning of the year, and will continue to develop if they stay together.
Mayfield with the only touchdown as McCallum for Saskatchewan will fake it, and nobody's picked it up for Montreal. McCallum with all kinds of yards, finally forced out of bounds across the 35-yard line. The gain is 21 as Montreal was peeling back to set up the return.
And you know it's a tough day when one of your best offensive plays in the afternoon comes from your punter.
Yeah.
And this is one of the best plays that they've had, and it comes from number 4. Alfonso Browning got a bit of a shot there right at the end of it, too. Shannon Garrett.
So McCallum enjoying that moment in the limelight. And that was the biggest rush of the game for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, there you go. That's a tough day. When your punter gets the longest run, you're in trouble. She doesn't care. She's loving it.
We mentioned at halftime that 60% of the fans coming to these games in Montreal are under the age of 35.
That's awesome.
It's a great shot in the arm for the Alouettes. Colley is blocked as he lets it go, and it's intercepted again by Irv Smith. This is becoming a horror show for Saskatchewan. Colley's second interception of the game, both to Irv Smith. And Montreal goes back on up.
CBC Television.
Irv Smith, the 5-year veteran out of Maryland, with his second interception of the game and his 7th of the season. And Colley really took a shot here as he tried to deliver the pass.
Yeah, he gets pressure from the edge from Alfred Payton. Throws it up. Don Narcisse had slipped. Irv Smith comes up with the interception. And
Mike Soles replacing Mike Pringle as the primary running back now for Montreal.
Right now, you got to say either Saskatchewan Roughriders quarterbacks have all of a sudden become colorblind, or this is a real good secondary in Montreal.
Sarkisian is conversing with Reggie Slack, who can't like what he sees, and they'll be depending on him if he's healthy to come back next week.
Yeah, and I think he will be back next week. I had a conversation with him on the sideline before the game, and he said his injury feels pretty good, and he wants to play next week and get back into it.
Hand off to Soles again, and he is moving hard through the middle there and close to a first down. There's the ball hawk secondary of Montreal.
See, they're making it look like a practice right now. You know, they're out there running around, catching passes, intercepting balls, and then they go and sit on the helmet on the sideline. They're just chatting over what they're going to do for dinner tonight. This is fun now for them.
And we invite you to stay tuned for part 2 of our Thanksgiving Day doubleheader. The Edmonton Eskimos at BC Place to face the front-running Lions, who lead the league at 10-3, and of course BC will be the host this year of the Grey Cup, with the Lions hoping to get there, Montreal hoping to go back, and of course that would be a rematch of sorts of '94 when Baltimore got there.
That's right. The Lions close to clinching that home field too.
Mike Soule puts his head down and is dropped by Ken Benson.
I should say home field in the bye.
Yes.
They've already clinched home field in the playoffs. Now they got to clinch the bye. And Montreal's thinking the same way.
I wish my mom could be watching this game.
Yeah, that's the one when everyone in the secondary wants a copy of the tape.
Yeah.
You know, they all call and say, we want to keep that tape. That was like highlight reel for us.
So Corby Jones, the rookie, number 3 quarterback for Montreal, the secondary, with 8 interceptions today. Now enjoying the dying minutes. The pitch out, Mike Soles, and is hit hard by Willie Pless for a short gain, but it will be well shy of the first down.
Well, Mark, here's a stat for you. You saw that secondary sitting over there having a good time. They've had 8 interceptions today. The Saskatchewan Roughriders as a team at week 14 have 8 interceptions.
Well, it tells you the whole story there.
That's it right there.
They've feasted on Thanksgiving on the Saskatchewan quarterbacks, and as you mentioned, Saskatchewan with a porous defense. Many of the fans still staying on here in Montreal.
Well, it's fun here. And this is fun. I mean, they don't want to go home. It's a beautiful day. Their team's blowing out the other team, and They're having some good times out here.
Another skyrocket from Terry Baker, whose average today is 55.6 yards. Curtis Mayfield up the sideline and is pushed out of bounds by Mike Soles. A 57-yard punt by Terry Baker, and Mike Soles, who's been carrying the ball for Montreal, is the first man down. And let's look at the East Division. After this game, Montreal now into double figures in the win column, and the win will clinch a playoff spot for the Alouettes. Second place, though, still to be decided in a huge game next week. Toronto at Hamilton.
And Edmonton, you know, they're playing